Hi guys, it's Carisa and I'm doing my week 12 video today. I think today is 13 weeks 1 day, which is actually good for me because now that I don't have weekly ultrasounds any longer, it's tough because I used to just do my video right after my ultrasound because that was the most up-to-date information for the previous week. I know I could do it when the week turns over, but that doesn't always work out. So I'm going to try and be better about it so that I don't blur the information from the current week into the past week. And it's funny because this morning I was thinking, I was write down little bullet points of things that I want to talk about. And I was thinking that there are some things that have been the case throughout the entire length of my pregnancy that I guess didn't stand out enough that I felt like I wanted to mention them. But I think of them every now and then. I'm like, oh, I've never mentioned this. But I can't remember what any of those things are now. One of them was the fact that I have really vivid dreams, which is something that I kind of always experienced that increased when I was on keto. So I didn't really think anything of it when it continued into pregnancy. But as I started feeling like I wanted to eat more and more bland foods and less keto specific foods, I clearly am not in ketosis or anything anymore. So it's probably now just a side effect of pregnancy, but it might just be sort of increased from just my everyday brain because I used to already dream quite a bit. So if I think of some of those things, I'll start throwing them into the future videos, but as of this moment, I don't have any of them with me currently. So week 12 was a very big, exciting week for us because we announced our pregnancy. I didn't intend to do it when I did, but it ended up being basically on Father's Day, like the evening of Father's Day. Actually, it was exactly midnight when my videos went up, so I had to stay up a little bit late to work on those. But I also posted them to other social media in case other people, didn't follow my YouTube. I still don't really share with people in my personal life that I make YouTube videos, and so I just kind of put it on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube so that I could share it with everybody all at once. And I know that for people who are trying to conceive, announcements can be a really sensitive thing, so I didn't want to stagger it all out and feel like I was just constantly talking about it. So I wanted to get it out there and let everybody see it all at once, and it was such a happy and joyful thing. And Mike would kind of joke at the end of the day, for the last few days, he'd be like, read me all of the things people said, all the nice things people said. He's just kind of amazed by how much support we've had from people that we've known for years, people that, there are even some people we didn't know knew that we weren't able to conceive. I'm sure they assumed it because we hadn't had children for our whole marriage, but it was just so nice to feel the warmth and the excitement from everybody. Just so immediately. It's unlike anything I think I've ever experienced, and it was so wonderful to be able to celebrate it on Father's Day. I didn't want to announce until this weekend, so I hope I make it through to this weekend because I'll be really mad if something terrible happens between now and this weekend, and I'm like, I was gonna wait. But a good amount of people, friends and very close immediate family did know. There was a little bit of an incident with it starting to spread, and I was learning that people I hadn't told specifically were finding out, and I thought, this is really, I actually had a dream about that. 2 dreams I had in pregnancy came true. The first one was that I had a dream that I was told by an ultrasound technician that it was a girl, and then the other one was that I got upset because other people were telling people about a pregnancy, and I was like, that was my news to share, that was our news. And I was like, wow, I'm really dreaming about real things lately, so I need to hopefully not dream about anything too terrible in the near future because it'll freak me out. But so yes, and I know it's just out of excitement and love and only good intentions, but it felt like, well, if people are gonna know, I want to feel like I had the joy of sharing it how I intended to. So Mike and I had discussed briefly a couple of the ideas that I had for what I would post. And then I asked him if he would make a video with me. We should have probably thought about what we were going to talk about ahead of time because I had this giant lump in my throat the whole time we were filming, and I was having a hard time talking and breathing properly. And I was trying to hold it together because I knew if I started crying, you wouldn't be able to make out what I was saying. And that would have been no fun. So I was like, all right, hold it together. And I just lost it when I was done filming. And my throat hurt for a couple of hours after that because of all the strain of just emotion that was sitting in my throat. But it was just such a happy thing to be able to share. So I did announce earlier that I wanted to, because for some reason, I guess, I wasn't necessarily waiting till the first trimester was over, honestly. I was okay with announcing anytime after we found out that the blood work and NT scan were okay. But I was starting to kind of lean in that direction, especially because I guess apparently now, these days, 14 weeks is considered the start of the second trimester and not 13 weeks. I guess it depends on what your source is, but I had always thought it was 12 weeks, whatever. So we announced 12 weeks, and it was wonderful, and I wouldn't take it back for a second, so long as everything's okay. That did make me incredibly nervous. That was a huge, huge thing to overcome. And I have known people who haven't announced, and they've never even said their baby was born. They just had a child, and if they happen to run into somebody, you would find out then. And I considered that. I truly did. But because of YouTube and some of the, I don't know, I was like, no, I'll just announce it. So that was very exciting and a really happy moment for us. Another really awesome thing is that okay, let me tell you a story about me. I didn't want to get a Doppler because I didn't want to upset myself. But I was surprisingly incredibly calm for the first few weeks when I wasn't able to pick anything up. And every now and then I would pick up that whooshing sound, which some people say is like the blood flow in the placenta, or it's just the placenta itself. And it's separate from the baby. And for a long time, all I needed to hear was that, and I felt actually a little bit better. If I just get to that point, I just feel like that sounds like things are okay. So even though I knew that that wasn't the heartbeat and that wasn't, and it shouldn't have been enough to comfort me, it was somehow. But I purchased a Doppler that I wouldn't recommend, and I think I might do a video specifically on those because I feel like I could talk about that for a while. But I thought because of the shape, it wasn't really less expensive than the typical like Sonoline one that people purchase most of the time. I thought because I'm so large and my stomach's so large, for some reason in my mind I thought that that particular model, because of the shape, would be better. But it actually is the opposite. There's also some kind of gimmicky thing where you can make a lullaby or something out of the heartbeat. I didn't really do any of the reading on it. I didn't really look into it further. I just wanted to use it to hear the heartbeat. Well, there were two things I really disliked about it. Three, actually, now that I think about it. One is that you have to use earbuds when you're doing it. And in order to hear the heartbeat, especially early on, you have to have the volume up all the way. And when you're moving the device around, you're blowing your eardrums out looking for things. And second, it doesn't display, it's just an individual kind of egg-shaped or like a computer mouse shaped item. So you have no screen to actually indicate anything, which I'm learning that with the Doppler that I am using now, I have the Sonoline B now, that doesn't even really matter either. It doesn't ever really accurately display a heart rate for me. And part of that might just be my inexperience, and part of that also might be the fact that I listen for literally 5 seconds and I'm done. As soon as I hear the heartbeat, I shut it off and I'm happy with that. I don't need to mess around with it forever. So I thought, though, that I really wanted to be able to see that. And lastly, the other thing is the shape. If you are very, very thin, or if you're further along, I think, and your stomach's much firmer, I think that it will be fine. But in my personal opinion, the Sonoline's a much better way to go because you have the, like the battery indicator, the heart rate. You can use it with headphones, or you can have just the speaker play, which is what I normally do. And because of the size and shape of the wand, you can really like press down and pinpoint the areas you're listening to, and you can very subtly kind of move it around to get different results. Whereas the other one's a little bit bigger and it just feels sloppier to use. So that was a mistake I made. But after all of that is said and done, in week 12, I was able to hear the heartbeat every time I used the Doppler. Now, I have to admit, I've been using it more now that I can find the heartbeat. Before, I would try like once a week, and I mean, I've heard women say in, videos in the past that they'll like lay there for 10 to 15 minutes. I don't know if they're exaggerating or if that's exactly what if they're really laying there for that long, but I would not have been able to do that. I was far too impatient. If after like 30 seconds I couldn't find it, I'd be like, all right, I'll check another time. But last week I definitely checked twice a day. I checked once mid-morning and once just before bed. And like I said, and it's not an exaggeration, I have an idea of where she normally is, which is on my right side to the middle area. There's just this one sort of section where the second I start listening, I either am already hearing the heartbeat, or if I move it just a little bit, it's right there. And that's all I need to hear is for just a moment. And it makes me feel so much better. Sometimes I just get this pang of anxiety, like, oh my gosh, you haven't worried in a while. You should worry. And that just completely puts me at ease. So I am fearful for a time where I suddenly can't find her, which I know is possible, that could happen, and it wouldn't be because something is wrong. It would just be because of her positioning or because she's moving a lot. And I suppose I'll worry about that when that happens. It's not enough to keep me from doing it now and then to comfort myself in the meantime. This week I've been much less, this week has been very short so far, but I've been much less fanatical about it. And it's not even like that, I don't even make like a production of it. Mike hasn't even been there for it most of the time. He seems unimpressed by it somehow, which is so funny to me. But it's just for my peace of mind. Once I start being able to feel her moving, I know that will lessen my dependence on using that every now and then. So something that I may have already mentioned a couple of times, actually I don't even need to mention this because I just posted it in the video that I made yesterday, but I've been very forgetful, and something that I've always kind of prided myself on and that I'm almost known for by some people is my memory. I remember very trivial things and very unimportant details. I don't remember dates and sometimes names very well, but for the most part, if something happened 15 years ago and you forgot about what exactly it was that happened, I can usually tell you a lot. But I've been so forgetful, especially in the last week or so, and I locked my keys in my car yesterday, and I was so mad at myself because I haven't done that in easily over 10 years. I think I remember the last time I did it, and I was 19 or 20, so I was really upset with myself for that, but it's just kind of, I guess, who I am these days. I'm also still a little bit clumsy. It doesn't seem to be as bad as it was. I was really dropsy and spilling stuff and things like that. I haven't been as bad with that lately, but I guarantee if I do it, Mike's around to witness it and just kind of give me this look like, really? So week 12 was also a big milestone for us because we had our NT scan and everything looked great. Our baby girl was not very cooperative. She was moving around a lot and she was kicking me a lot, I guess. I couldn't tell that was the case, but the tech had mentioned it. At one point, and honestly, our picture ended up being not very good. And she gave us a little tiny, adorable flash drive shaped like a teddy bear to bring to our appointments so that we could have it loaded with whatever they put on there. I felt like she took 8 pictures, and a couple of them were really good, and we didn't get any of those somehow on our flash drive. They're all just like 2-second videos. I'm still happy to have them. It's like as little as I can really make out of what I'm seeing. I know that that's my baby and it's just so important to me. So I did load those onto my computer. I'm looking forward to the future ones that we end up seeing. But here is the picture that we ended up with, which if you saw my announcement, you saw this picture. Somebody did ask if she was sucking her thumb. I don't know that she was. That might have just been a coincidental placement of her hand at the time. But it was a little bit disappointing because at one point we were able to very clearly see her face, her profile anyway, and it was almost kind of alarming because it looked like my face. And so she got my nose. I know that much so far, but it was just incredible. And we got to see her brain, and it's growing well, and just I just love her so much already. So I talked to my doctor, and he took me off of all of the medications I was on for support except for baby aspirin. So I was taking Lovenox injections, which is a blood thinner, which I didn't technically need. I wasn't actually positive for any blood clotting disorders. I was very slightly at one point, but it was nothing that a baby aspirin wouldn't have taken care of. But just as a precaution, the fertility center put me on the Lovenox. And I was also taking metformin. I've been taking that for years, and I'm no longer taking metformin, which does make me feel concerned about making sure that I eat well and don't overdo it with the carbs. I was also taking, look at me, I can't even remember. He did put me on Zoloft before I got pregnant. I think I've been on Zoloft since January, and he said if you get pregnant, you can remain on it. If you want to, it's up to you. And I hadn't decided yet. This week I sort of thought, maybe I'll go off it and just see how I feel. I am worried about it spiking my anxiety in some way. So I'm going to kind of keep an eye on myself in regards to that. Because I always joke that if you feel like your antidepressants aren't doing anything because you feel fine, that means they're working. He took me off all of those medications that the fertility center put me on to get me through to week 12. They said that's typically when you would stop those. I also had my last dose of intralipids in week 12, and the placenta is supposed to be taking over now. And I kind of think that maybe that happened because I have been so tired. So I don't know if that's what would cause it, but I wasn't having any exhaustion almost at all in most of the first trimester. At night, I would get tired pretty early. Not every night, but most nights after like 6, I could have gone to bed, but I'd try and stay up till at least 7:30. Lately, I've been feeling more tired during the day, and I've been falling asleep later. Like I can physically stay awake longer till like 9:30. But then I wake up so late in the morning, and I don't even hear Mike get up and get out of bed. I wake up, and it just kind of feels like Dorothy waking up after the tornado. I don't know where I am. I don't know what time it is. I can't believe I'm alone in the bed. Like I slept through everything, basically. I haven't even gotten up to pee enough times to kind of feel lucid or any of that. I sleep really solid through the morning, and like this morning I woke up at 7:30. I can't remember the last time I slept in so late. I normally get up by 6:30 at the latest. So that was a little bit strange to start noticing that, but I do feel tired during the day. Like work has gotten very difficult for me because even though I've really made sure to minimize the amount of work that I get, the number of orders that I get, by paring my shop down sort of to bare bones and a small amount of work, I'm finding it very challenging because I have a hard time keeping my eyes open, and the little bit of work I have to do takes me almost just as long as a full day of work. So I have to work on that. I don't really care to start having any kind of caffeine at all, so I'm just gonna kind of power through, and maybe this is just temporary. I also have been a lot more dizzy. I'm gonna have to stop. I was always the kind of person, and I used to get picked on for it a lot when I was younger, but I'm always the kind of person who walks really fast. I run up and down the stairs. If I have to go into another room, I walk very quickly. And I'm learning that I have to be more present when I'm about to like stand up from a sitting position, for example, and I have to do it more slowly because I get so dizzy and it takes me quite a while to recover from it. I've also been noticing that on the right side, my right ear, every now and then I feel like I can hear the blood sort of rushing in it. It sounds sort of like a throbbing sound. It doesn't hurt or anything. There's no pressure there, but I can hear like blood rushing in my ear. I guess I don't even know how else to describe it. And that's normally after I sit up really quickly or lay down from an upright position really fast. I hear that for a couple of seconds, which is really strange. As far as cravings go, I'm not craving chicken fingers anymore. It's funny now that I'm editing my old videos, hearing some of the stuff that I'm saying. For the first like 2 or 3 weeks, I wanted chicken fingers all the time. And I only ate them a couple of times because it felt like a guilty thing for me to eat. But I no longer really crave that. Lately, it's salt. I want salty things. And I have had an increased appetite for sweets, which I'm really trying to be careful of. In fact, the guiltiest thing, look, I'll show you. For some reason, I have really wanted M&Ms. The mini ones or the peanut butter ones are my favorite, and I really wanted those. But I've been trying not to eat them, and which is hard if I'm like at the grocery store and I feel a craving and I find like a one serving pack. I feel like, oh, I could split that up into 3 servings, and it's not even worth it. Don't even bother, Carisa. But what I have been indulging in is berries. I make a smoothie almost every single day with a whole bunch of stuff. But I put chia seed and avocado and spinach and usually some kind of berries in it. I've been really liking blueberries. I overdid it with the strawberries. And sometimes I will just eat a handful of fresh raspberries. So I try not to have anything that is like pure sugar. But the other kind of sweets that I have been indulging in is sweetened cereal. Not a lot. I always make sure to have one of my really bland, disgusting, high fiber cereals also. And then I'll have a small serving of something sweet. So this is my latest one. Every time I walked by this at the grocery store, I was like, that looks so good. Look at it. Doesn't it look delicious? So it's this tiny little box too. I don't know if you can tell how tiny this is compared to, I don't know, like a standard box of Cheerios or something. I figured it was a really small box, so it was harmless. And it's only 7 grams of sugar for a 3/4 cup. I think that's really good. They have really improved cereal over the years. I don't crave new things or things that I don't typically eat. I mean, the chicken fingers thing happened, but I find that cravings are just things I naturally would always want, like a white pizza, like a garlic pizza, or Mexican food, or bland like cereals, breads. That's the kind of stuff that I want to eat, and I don't think I think that's just me. I don't know. Unless pregnancy can amplify things that would already be there. But I have wanted sweets a lot less. Like normally, before I got pregnant, I was having a little bit of Halo Top. Almost every night I had a little bowl of Halo Top. Mike and I would make some, and we'd like sit in bed and eat ice cream and look at our phones. Or Atkins sugar-free chocolates. I don't really want those things at all lately, and I was having those almost every day before. So, I mean, maybe my tastes have changed a little bit as far as that's concerned, but so I think that's it for week 12. Now that I've talked for so long that my hair is basically dry, I think I should end this. I hope you guys are enjoying my old videos. I'm sorry that I'm just a complete fraidy cat. It's hard to even watch them back, to edit them, because it brings back a lot of those emotions and things that I forgot how scared I was about. It isn't really reinvigorating the fear, but I definitely, I remember that girl, even though it feels like it was so long ago. You know, I only found out I was pregnant 2 months ago, and it feels like it has been 6 months of just agony, just always worrying because I just want this baby so badly, and we just want this family so badly. And I know that no one can ever guarantee this for anybody. And that is a little bit comforting, but it's also so scary. And I know I've said this in some of my other videos, but just having been a part of the infertility community, the TTC community, on YouTube and just meeting so many women who have come from so many different circumstances, you do hear about some really tragic things sometimes, and you don't forget them. So my heart just breaks for some of those women who I know, they still haven't had their babies yet, or because they chose to share that, women constantly find it and want to relate and want to talk to them, and it probably brings it all up for them again, and that's really hard. And I have to try and remind myself that I'm not them, and just because something really, really sad happened to them, it doesn't mean it's going to happen to me. And just because something has happened to me in the past that's really, really sad doesn't mean it'll happen to somebody else. It's not contagious, It is hard though, because I just have this big, huge, aching hole in my heart for all of those women who are still struggling, and for some women whose journeys are just beginning. I just wish I could wave a wand and just let everybody have the happiness that they want. So that is it for week 12. Hopefully I will have a shorter but just as happy update for week 13. And I'll talk to you guys soon.